The next movie is Fritz the Cat, guys.
Fritz the Cat.
It's not X-rated for nothing, baby.
It's not. Does it feel like it needs to be X-rated, to be honest?
It has tits in it.
They're just, like, constantly fucking.
Yeah.
We see somebody get shot and die in front of us, which is a pretty normal thing without X-rated, obviously, but... I think the constant fucking is the big thing.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Perhaps. But, what the fuck is this movie? So, like, let me just run through the plot to make sure we're all on the same page. Fritz the Cat, he's a student at New York University. The movie opens with him manipulating a bunch of girls into fucking him. And then it turns into an orgy. And then the police start chasing him around. Where he then... And there's an extended sequence in a synagogue for some reason.
Yeah.
That felt off, but and then he goes on like a very extended adventure in, like, you know, the black part of town, I guess.
And the black people are crows.
They're crows. Get it? Like Jim Crow. It's very metaphorical. And I can't. That whole section felt just. It was pretty wild. I was like, but yeah, that section, and then he starts a race war, which isn't great.
He starts a race war after he fucks a black chick. That's the big catalyst to this. He saw the light.
Yeah, that was an interesting part of the movie, and then he...
Yeah, like, with that whole scene, he, like, fucking whips his dick out, he's ready to go, and she tells him, "Oh, you're too small for me, baby."
No, she does not say you're too small, she literally says, "You're not black enough for me."
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then, you know, he retreats out into the American desert because he's now, like, a wanted domestic terrorist, and it seems to me that he accidentally winds up joining a white supremacist gang.
Yeah, a bunch of neo-Nazis.
And helping them plot a bombing of a power station.
Yeah.
But, so, you know, that's the plot of it. Jesus Christ. I mentioned this when we were watching it, but I legitimately cannot tell if this film was made by hippies and they were just being kind of self-aware about how cringy some of the hippie shit is, or if it was made by, I suppose, Gen Xers making fun of hippies.
Well, you see, Tanner, this film was made in a very turbulent time of American history. It was right around the time of the Civil Rights Movement, you know. And the writer of...
It was well after that, but go off, I guess.
You see, Fritz the Cat is actually based off a comic book, okay? Well, like a comic strip. It covers this kind of material generally. And so what ended up happening, you see, Tanner, is that the creator of this was a pretty left-wing kind of guy. But he, like, didn't really want to sell the rights of the movie, like, to the studio who's making it. So, like, okay, yeah, it's cool, man. We'll just get your wife to sign instead. So she did, because she apparently had power of attorney over this.
What?
Yeah. And so they ended up making the movie anyway. And yeah, this movie, it had a really, very shaky production overall. They weren't actually aware of whether or not this is, like, really gonna end up being a movie or not. So they kind of just, like, broke it up into a few different, like, segments just in case this was, like, just, like, a small show or something that they put on at some point. Hence why it's kind of, like, segmented into 3 distinct sections.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like we were watching different acts of something go on with, like, the long, drawn-out pauses in between them for some fucking reason.
Yeah, that would explain why.
I like that Dancing Crow, though. That guy's cool.
I was a big fan of Dancing Crow. Apparently, the creator of Fritz the Cat fucking despised this movie when it came out. So much so they killed off Fritz the Cat in the comics.
That's extremely petty. I love that.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay.
Any further questions about Fritz the Cat?
I guess, so what you're getting at is this was, like, an earnest attempt at some sort of coherent, like, political statement or whatever.
Exactly.
Okay, what were they trying to say? Because especially all the stuff where he's, you know, interacting with the African American community, it just comes across as just wildly racist and just like they're like literally all of the people he runs across, they like can't speak English and they're all fucking crooks and mobsters and they're just killing each other and fucking all the time, and I'm just like
Yeah, that's why the creator hated it.
Okay,
yeah, I
that's
especially
good.
love that part, like right at the beginning of the film, when Fritz and his boys are like about to like jam out or whatever in the park to pick up some ladies, and the girls just completely ignore him. Just like go start talking to some random black dude about black issues, and he just completely blows them off.
I will say, that kind of stuff felt weirdly relevant today. Like the part where Fritz the cat, he goes into that like billiard bar or whatever the fuck, and he walks up to that guy. And he's like, or the guy is like, he's like questioning Fritz's motives or whatever, and Fritz the cat is just like, "Hey man, my people have given you a lot of grief. I just want to understand your experience or whatever." I'm like, that's shit that fucking white college students say nowadays. That cringy, like, I feel a lot of guilt over blah, 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 blah. Okay, leave me alone.
I don't know you, man. I just want to play pool.
But yeah, this movie is just a clusterfuck. I really don't know what to think about it, to be honest.
I will say, one big thing I do appreciate about the film, I actually like the animation style a lot.
It's not too bad. It's very like Cow and Chicken, Ren and Stimpy.
I was gonna say, now you might throw me up on the cross for this one, but Schoolhouse Rock.
I can kind of see it.
Yeah.
I can kind of see it. But Jackson, what did you think about this movie?
Oh man, what can I not say? Yeah, I think the production of it was just like the production quality was just horrible all throughout. I don't like the art style at all. The animation was pretty rough for the vast majority of it. The audio quality was fucking horrible.
Oh yeah, it was god awful.
They sound like they were talking through tin cans throughout the majority of it. So many random, long, drawn-out cuts of just like cities that last like a minute for some reason. Sometimes maybe longer.
They gotta pad out that runtime.
Dude, I just remembered
it was a clusterfuck, not cohesive at all, really.
I just remembered that they literally had
1972.
Yeah, it came out in 1972. I just remember they literally had the crows living in like a dump site in the middle of the city.
Pretty much. that whole area of the city was just like absolutely just torn apart.
Now,
I don't know.
One other thing that I learned about Fritz the cat, you see, those like random scenes where like the audio is like really bad for some reason, and like you really can't tell like what these like conversations like these random characters are having are. They did indeed just like fucking go up to like random people in like bars or whatever, like, "Hey, can we like record you just like talking?" Yeah,
dude,
they just like recorded random people.
That'd be kind of cool if they, pulled it off well. Yeah, I guess.
So that was fun. Now this movie, actually, guys. How do you think this movie performed at all in the box offices?
I don't think it made a single fucking dollar.
Oh,
this movie did really well.
No, it did not.
This movie did like super well. I think it had like a really small budget. It made like $80 million or some shit like that.
Jesus Christ.
So much so they got a sequel called The 9 Lives of Fritz the Cat, which people hate.
They should hate this one.
This one is fairly, it's like okay received. I think overall, this movie is more so fascinating to me, if anything. I really like looking at this movie and like learning about it. The movie itself is not very good though.
No.
I'm gonna give it like a C-.
Okay.
Alright, I'm gonna go off in a completely different direction than Nico C- and give this movie a straight F tier.
Holy shit.
I think the only thing that's redeemable about this movie is that there are some funny parts to it. The rest of it was really low production. It was really hard to watch. I didn't really enjoy basically any of it. From like a movie standpoint, this was a horrible experience.
I'm kind of on the same page as Nico with like the existence of this movie is just kind of interesting, even though it itself is not weird. It's like I have a ranking written down for me, but I put a question mark on it. But I think I've, with this conversation, solidified it. So I'm going to give it a D+.
A D+.
And then Dylan gave it
an F+.
An F+.
Yeah.
An F+.
Yeah, I've got his ranks all written down.
Okay.
So yeah, that puts us at a D.
That's fair enough.